This is the Rob Dibble Show.
Back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Happy Friday, everybody. Joining us now on the Bobby B's hotline, Al Gatulo from 970 The Answer in New York City. Our New York sports guru has a great beer cast about beer every Sunday night at 11 p.m. And Al, I was listening to Phil Simms at the halftime. He's talking about how hard the Giants were playing in that preseason game. What were your thoughts just after 60 minutes of watching Giants football?
I got to say, Dibs, I liked what I saw in those first two quarters. I liked the fact that a couple things. One, the offensive line played a lot more cohesively than they did last year, and obviously that has a lot to do with the line coach that they got from the Raiders. He's putting things together. Not all the starters played, but what I saw, I liked a lot. I was not crazy about Drew Lock, and then he goes down with the injury because I didn't think he made great decisions. I know he was trying to zip that ball in there, but I think he was just trying to, hey, I'm on the field for the first time in a long time. Let me try and impress some people. He didn't impress me. However, Tommy DeVito impressed me a lot.
All right!
He has soaked up a lot of – I called him Danny DeVito twice today, so believe me, I'm going to say that probably about a million times. But what I liked about DeVito was the fact that he seems to have taken a page from Brian Dable's playbook. He's figuring it out. He has matured a little bit. He's made good decisions. That one play where he hit the receiver in stride, coming out of the backfield, getting that rush, and he just 1, 2, 3, boom, and he gets the ball out there. And I threw it on his back foot, but he had enough zip to get it in there. Those are the things that I like to see. But it's preseason. They're not going to throw every single thing in there. It's sort of, let's get some guys some reps and see where we are here. But with Locke going down now with an injury, that's going to put him out for a couple of weeks, and there's only 3 preseason games. I think DeVito is the number 2 right now because the Giants only signed Locke for a year. They could very easily cut him before the end of the preseason here if they don't think he's going to recover soon enough. And you have to wonder about Jones's durability. Do they go out and get somebody on the outside, at the end of training camp, or do they stick with DeVito as the number 2? That's the question.
Totally agree with all of that. I loved DeVito's game last night. Threw some out routes that were just right on the money. And a couple of guys are making it easy for the Giants. Not only that offensive line, I think you're nailing the head on that, too. The big boys on both offense and defense, the Giants look ready to go. But what do you think about the running back position, Al? Devin Singletary, it will be your number 1 starter. But I like what I saw with Tracy and Gray. Is this going to be a committee thing, or are we going to try to sell Singletary as being the end-all, be-all in the backfield?
No, I think the Giants made it clear that it's going to be a running back by committee sort of until things figure it out. Singletary is obviously the number 1, but I like what I saw from Gray last night. Made a great cut to get to that open space, to get that touchdown run there. But again, you said it. The line held up. The line created the hole for him to see to move things forward. Now, Giant fans have said, well, if you kept Saquon and this line was put together, okay. But the Giants drew their line in the sand with Saquon. He's gone. They said, we're only going to pay him this much, and that's it. I think the Giants can work here with whomever they plug in at running back. If the line holds up, anybody can run through it. I like what I saw on the defensive side of the ball. Guys attacking. This is not Wink Martindale's, blitz-oriented defense where we're going to just keep trying to overload you to some offensive teams to say, oh, you know what, we just can't, do what we want willy-nilly. We're going to have to hold back here a little bit. So I like what I see from the early going. The real test is next week. Daniel Jones. How much does he play? Does he play, half the game? Does he only play a quarter? He's not going to play really much in the 3rd preseason game. Next week will tell the tale where Daniel Jones is in terms of his injury, what we've seen in the practice field, and it's been good so far. Let's see what happens next week.
Al, if the Giants, let's just say the Giants make the playoffs, is that enough to keep Daniel Jones in New York?
Yes, because I don't think the Giants want to eat $23 million next season. I think if they eat it, it's sort of, all right, we'll reluctantly eat it, but we know we need to go out and get another guy. If he leads us to the playoffs again, and we go deep, not just, you get in there, hey, we're happy to be here, but let's say he beats a team and moves forward. I don't expect this team to be in the Super Bowl, but I expect them, if they make the playoffs, beat a team in front of them, maybe one, two teams, maybe they lose, second round. Then you say to yourself, all right, how many did he make egregious errors that we can't correct? Or did he play well enough, just other parts of the team didn't play well? I think that determines whether or not they keep him. But I think if they make the playoffs and go deep, I think Daniel Jones is a Giant next year, and I think he goes into that final year of that contract, or, obviously they can cut him with another year left on the deal. I think they go, okay, we're going to hold pat at $23 million. We're good here. And we'll see what happens and let him play out the string.
What are the early reports with the new wide receiver they got in the draft, Malik Neighbors? The only thing I've heard is that he got in a fist fight with the Detroit Lions. What have you heard as far as his progression early on here with the Giants?
He looks great in the practice field, but obviously that's practice. Last night, Dable played all of his rookies. I think Neighbors played, a quarter, maybe a little bit more than a quarter. The guy was running all game. He was gassing down the field. I like what I see so far. And I think that's the thing with Drew Lock. I think there was one play where Lock he didn't see anything right away, and boom, and ran. Meanwhile, Neighbors was streaking down the field and wide open and getting a lot of separation. Now, again, it is preseason. They're not going to put all of their packages in defenses and things like that. But what I saw so far, I really like. I think this kid is going to be a game changer. Am I ready to, anoint him the next OBJ of the Giants or whatever? No. But I think what you've seen so far, or what little you've seen, there is a lot of promise there.
Talking to Al Gatulo from 970 The Answer in New York City. Aaron Rodgers, Jets, will he not play any of the preseason, and do you think that's a wise choice?
Yes and no. I think he's going to see a little bit of action in the preseason. I would be shocked if they didn't, especially the fact that he saw no action last season, comes in first game, 4 plays in, he goes down. I think at some point in the preseason, you have to play him at least a series. He's got to get on that field somehow. Now, I don't mind that they held him out of practice yesterday, because it was raining against the Commanders. That's fine. He's not going to play tomorrow, and I don't care about that. I want to see him, though, in either week 2 or week 3. He's got to play at least 4 downs. Show me that he can get on the field and do something. If they're going to do what they did last year and let him, wait until the first game to come out on the field, especially in San Francisco when you're playing away, I don't know. I don't think that's the right move. I mean, this is a guy who's, over the age of 40 here. It's not like he's 23 and it's not a problem. I think you need to see him play at least one set of downs to see what you've got here in Aaron Rodgers.
Jets will be on Sunday against the Commanders in their first preseason game. We're expecting to see a good dose of Tyrod Taylor. That's the new backup that they picked up, a very good backup as far as backups are concerned in the league. But I'm wondering about Jordan Travis, a guy that we haven't seen play football in a while. He was the Florida State quarterback that got hurt, and I guess that kept out the Seminoles from the playoffs. But what's the plan with Jordan Travis on this roster?
I think you're definitely going to see him get in there and get into the mix. I don't think Taylor's not going to play the whole game tomorrow. I certainly think you're going to see a lot of Travis here in these next couple of games and see what you got. I mean, again, they signed Taylor to a big deal. I think 2 years, $11 million.
Yeah.
He's going nowhere. But I think you absolutely have to see what you have here in Travis. So I think you're going to see Travis get the bulk of the minutes. He'll probably play most of the second half tomorrow. He will probably play 3 quarters next week. Maybe Tyrod comes in the third game, plays a quarter or 2. But I think you're going to see more of Jordan Travis, probably a preseason game 2 and most of preseason game 3 before the start of the season, just to see what the Jets have.
As far as the guys that were drafted by the Jets, who do you see being an impact for them immediately?
Look, I think Fashanu, will certainly make an impact right away. Obviously, you've picked him at 11 as a tackle. I think you're going to see Corley get some action, too, and I think those are the 2 that will probably make the most impact. And let's not forget, you've got 2 guys. If Jalen Key sticks around, I think you will see some good stuff from him come the season. But definitely you're going to see a lot of mix here with Fashanu and Corley for sure.
Is this holdout from Hassan Reddick going to end?
That's the most mind-boggling thing. So the Jets trade for him.
Right.
They know exactly what he's looking for. He's looking for an extension. They've told his agents, we're going to talk to you and this and that, whatever. I can't believe that they didn't go into this going, this guy's not going to hold out, is he? I'm a little surprised that the Jets didn't try to lock him up early and just say, look, what are you looking for? Here's what we have. Where can we come in the middle, and meet? I'm really shocked that it has waited as long. And by the way, all of these fines that he has, whenever Reddick does decide to come in, he's got to pay them. This isn't we're gonna fix things creatively with the salary cap, so you don't have to pay this stuff. He's going to be forking over this money. So I don't understand why the Jets would have made this move without trying to contact his agents beforehand and say, look, we're trading for your guy. What's it going to take to get him in camp? Give us a number. I'm a little shocked by that.
Let's talk a little baseball with you. What are your thoughts on the 10 games that Jazz Chisholms Jr. has played in a Yankee uniform?
Let me tell you something. If the Yankees make the playoffs and they do, and they make a great run here in October, this is the trade that keeps Brian Cashman's job. Because what a spark plug. Everyone's screaming, they need this, they need that, they need this. Chisholm comes in and just starts boom, 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 and gives them that spark that they needed. Because when we talked last time, Dibble, I mean, it was Judge and it was Soto. That was it. They didn't have anybody else.
Yep.
He seems to have given them that energy. He's that little Gatorade pickup that says, "Hey, I'm here. Let's go." I mean, the fans love him. He gave them a little bit of juice right at the beginning, and it keeps rolling along. I think it was a master move by Cashman to pick up this guy, and I see he's paying dividends right now.
Now he has another situation on his hands that he could offer a guy a lot of money and save some money on the back end, or see how it plays out. And if this guy has 64 home runs, then he's going to have to pay even more than what he expected. What's the Juan Soto situation right now for the Yanks?
I think the Yankees do whatever it takes to keep Juan Soto. He's made no secret he wants to be here. I think if you're the Yankees, you would be moronic to let him, even entertain an offer from the other team in town.
But do you do it now? Or you wait until after the World Series?
No, I would lock him up. I would lock him up before the World Series. What you have in Juan Soto. He's going to put people in the seats. He's obviously a good buffer for Judge. Who do you pitch to? Is it one or the other, or pitch to both,
right,
or walk both? Whatever. You've got an interesting conundrum. Stanton, I think, is on his way out. So I think this is the guy you need to lock up, and lock up now. They certainly have the money for it, because if you allow him to walk and go, okay, well, you look at whatever offer, the other team in Queens is going to come running for him. You know that's going to happen. So you're not going to want to let that happen. I think you get him locked up before the World Series.
Al, as bad as the Mets started, look at them now. They have the third spot in the wild card. They're a half game in front of the Braves in the wild card. Your thoughts on your New York Mets, man?
I have to say, June was the telling month, and I think you could really go back to that team meeting that they had after 2 months into the season, where Lindor said, we took it upon ourselves to get everybody together and sort of talk it out. They knew there was a lot of season left. Hey, we just need to win 1 game, 2 games, 3 games. It'll spill along. And that's exactly what they've done. They haven't looked too far ahead. They haven't looked too far behind. They've said, we've got to play what's in front of us, and let's take care of business. That's exactly what they've done. The real test now comes after this road trip. Again, 3 tough games in Seattle. Seattle's not an easy place to play in.
No.
You've got to take care of that business there. Then you come home for 9. Then you go back out on the road again for 10. That road trip through San Diego and Arizona, and then I think they finish it off with the White Sox, so let's face it, we could beat the White Sox right now at this point.
Yes. They may let us.
But San Diego and Arizona are the 2 teams that are in front of you for the wild card right now. Those teams you have to beat. The Padres are no slouches, and certainly not the Diamondbacks. So I think if they do well at the end of this road trip here, you take 2 out of 3, you're in great shape. You come home, let's say you take 6 of 9, and then you go back out on the road again. You have to, I would think on that 10-game road trip, you can't take anything less than 7 out of 10. If you don't win 7 out of those 10 games, I don't think September is going to be a great month for you. So I do think that the Mets have the ability to get it done. Alonso, 2 home runs yesterday. Maybe he's starting to make that turn. McNeil has had a great turn since the All-Star break. He's just hacking away, and he's putting things into motion. Lindor has played fantastic. And the pitching has sort of gelled together as well. So I think they really, really have done a great job in the last 35 to 45 days.
That pitching still makes me nervous, though, Al. I know there are like a lot of good B pluses, and they can put in some A performances, but it would be nice if old Kodai Senga finds a way to get back in this lineup. Is there any talk of Kodai returning?
I think they're optimistic that he's going to return, but at this point, I think you just have to keep him on the back burner. Listen, if he comes in and he plays for us in September, that's a plus. But right now, I think you count him out of it. What I would like to see from the Mets is I would like to see a little bit more length from the starters. Instead of having to pull him after 5, get him into the 6th inning. Don't overtax the bullpen. They've changed some things around. Ottavino, they've moved up in the bullpen as opposed to keeping him back in the 8th inning. They've moved him up to the 6th inning. That's good. It's paid some dividends, but you don't want to strain this bullpen any more than it already is. And they've got some interesting choices to make. I think Reed Foley is coming back this weekend. There's a couple of guys that are on the bubble that look like they're coming back bullpen-wise. So they're going to have some interesting decisions to make here and who's going to get opted out at this point. Ottavino is one of those guys who might be on the bubble who they may have no choice but to expose him to waivers and see what happens.
Yeah, and Sean Manaea has picked it up to where he looks like the old Sean Manaea, so that's huge for them. Al, as always, my friend, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for a few minutes today.
You got it, boys. Have a great weekend.
All right, Al Gatulo from 970 The Answer. Check out his Craft Beer Cast, 11 p.m. on 970 out of New York. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, do the first dibs question of the day.